This is how you do a remake. Mafia Definitive Edition is the perfect example of how to remake a game and make it feel fresh, new, and fit in perfectly with all of the other 2020 AAA games. Everything about this game is amazing, from the world to the characters to the audio design, the vehicles, everything is so perfectly well crafted. Starting with the world, Lost Heaven is based on Chicago in the 1930s, and you do truly feel like you are part of this world as soon as you step into the shoes of Tommy Angelo and you're walking the streets of Lost Heaven. You feel like you are in 1930s Chicago, and it's amazing. Everything in the city is incredible. The landmarks, all the streets are laid out perfectly. Just everything fits so well with the 1930s aesthetic that they're going for. This city has to be one of the best examples of a living, breathing city in a video game that I've been in so far. This game, all of the pedestrians in this game truly feel like they're doing something. You could follow a pedestrian around, they're doing their daily tasks. And this really adds to the atmosphere of this game, truly makes you feel like you are in the 1930s. It's really awesome. The characters in this game are another very strong point. Starting with Tommy Angelo, the main protagonist, all of the motion capture work and the voice work that went into Tommy Angelo truly is excellent, and it really adds to his character, and you really get to appreciate how well done Tommy is in the Mafia remake. When you first start out with Tommy, you really get to see his sense of development throughout the game. He kind of starts off as he's a taxi driver, and he's kind of hesitant to get into the really violent actions of the Mafia. I mean, when he first, in one of the earlier missions of the game, he is forced to shoot someone, he's very hesitant. He can't bring himself to do it. But you get to see throughout the game, throughout his experience, he evolves and he becomes a completely different person by the end of the game. Don Salieri is another one of the best done characters in this game. When you first meet him, he's very intimidating, this big mob boss. And once you actually get into the family, you start doing more missions, get to see him in cutscenes, he changes completely to you. You really feel like you are a member of the family, and he is the big boss, but he's got a lot of respect at the same time. He's not a super intimidating guy. Fantastic performance. Sam and Polly are another pair of my favorite performances in this game. They're hilarious. All of their voice acting, mocap, fantastic. Super funny banter between them and between Tommy. It's really awesome. Now, in terms of rivals and villains, Don Morello, I felt he was done very well, but I don't know about you guys, but I felt a lack of a real... He didn't show up very much in the game. There was a few cutscenes that were pretty brutal with him. There was one with a car accident that I won't spoil, but it's pretty brutal. But there was a lack of him really showing up in the game, and I really think that if I was to suggest one thing about him, was to have him show up more in the game. I really didn't see a lot of him. Sarah is another one of those characters that I feel like she was missing in the game for a good portion. As Tommy's love interest, she didn't really show up that much. About 25% through the game she shows up, and you rarely ever see her after that. And I don't know, I felt like it would be more fitting to have her show up more often in the game, but again, not many complaints. The performance is great, it's just lacking a little bit. In terms of gameplay, this is where Mafia Definitive Edition really does shine. In terms of difficulty and other things like that, the difficulty options are pretty good. The easy difficulty and even the medium difficulty, some of the AI can be pretty brain dead. They're just kind of flopping all over the place, and they're not very accurate with their shooting. The higher difficulties, hard, and then the classic difficulty, they're great. Fantastic AI. I really felt the AI was great. I also really like the fact that you can pick the difficulty in terms of simulation for cops. You can have a simulation difficulty where they'll pull you over for stoplights and other traffic infringements, or you could have a more mainstream approach where they don't do that. In terms of shooting in the game, I felt the combat, this game has a pretty good cover system as well. I noticed whenever you're in a gunfight and you go to go cover, Um, it's pretty good, pretty accurate, and can pretty much predict what you want to do. Although I have noticed a few times that you tend to stick to cover, which is a little annoying, but that's occasional, and no, it doesn't bother me too much. In terms of actually shooting a gun in this game, the game does a great job of having lots of recoil, even with the pistol. I mean, you got tons of recoil. You really got to get your shots right. And in terms of mastering the combat in this game, headshots are really key. That's really where you want to be heading for. Anything else, you're not doing very much damage, but really headshots are what you're aiming for. Missions are another strong point in this game. A lot of the missions were super fun. There's about 20 missions in the game. They're all really fun, really unique. And then there's the one from the original Mafia. The race car mission is back, and it's just as difficult and just as fun. Another area I feel this game excels in is audio and music. The music for this game is so perfect for the time period, and it's another one of those pieces that really adds to the immersion in this game. It's really, truly fantastic. The audio design in general is really good for this game. It's another one of the game's strong points. It's especially things like the tires on the cars. When you're really getting a burnout, getting those tires spinning, they really make some noise, and they sound pretty accurate to real life. It's really cool to hear. Another thing that's really cool in the audio design front is that the Tommy gun feels really mechanical and clunky, and it's really cool to use and hear that audio. In general, the audio just has a really polished feel to it. It's really great. So, in the end, this game is a very strong game. I think that it's one of the better games we've had in 2020 so far. We've had plenty of good games, and we will still have more good games, but this game is really good. I think for the price point, it's really strong. It's not the same, like, not a full-priced game. So, I think it's highly worth it. I definitely recommend you guys go out and get it. Out of 10, I'd probably give this game an 8, 8.5. It's really strong, much higher than the average game, and I highly recommend you guys go buy this one. And if you haven't played any of the other Mafia games, I highly suggest getting the Mafia trilogy. It's about the same price as one AAA game, and you get Mafia Definitive Edition, Mafia 2 Definitive Edition, and Mafia 3 Definitive Edition. So that's a really good deal, and I highly recommend you do that if you haven't played the games yet. Alright guys, so hope you enjoyed this review. It's a little bit of different content from my channel, but please leave a like. That'd be really appreciated, and if you could subscribe, that would be awesome. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.